I will fight, never weary, I wanna be legendary.
We are live! Woohoo! Boys and girls, we got a lot of fun tonight, and we're gonna make it look, that's right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, what's up, everybody? What are you guys doing in the heezy? Let's see who all's here. Doo-doo-doo. Oh, that got out of whack. Let me make an adjustment here, guys. Stand by one. I don't know what happened there. Hey, I think it was Robert Sharp was first. Kristen J, Matty Gonzalez. Who else rolled in? Mick Layton rolled in here. What's up, Mick? What are you guys doing? You guys hanging out? Look at the hearts rolling in the chat. Look at the emojis and stuff. Yay! That makes me happy. I like to see things like that. What are you guys doing, man? Tonight we're gonna have a lot of fun, you guys. We're gonna go back to basics. I know what you're thinking. What do you mean back to basics? Okay, back to basics means we're going to go all the way down to the the gritties, boys and girls. That's right. We're going to go down all the way down. We're going to talk about how do you set up your reel. We're going to start there. Yeah, we're going to go that far back because I happen to catch myself watching some live stream fishing this weekend. And I noticed that proficiency, we started a conversation during our last live stream about proficiency. And I didn't get a chance to explain it because that evening was going to be about proficiency. So I just decided to revisit it tonight. You know what I'm saying? Why not? We didn't get a chance to fish today. Hurricane warnings. You know what I'm saying? Hurricane warnings. That just gets a little out of control. And then on top of that, I lost brakes in the truck today. That wasn't good times. I didn't lose them, but they weren't going well. You understand what I'm saying? So no live fishing today, boys. Sorry, I had to put brakes on the truck. Got that handled. Boats charged, ready to go. Looks like Saturday is going to be a big party. But one of the things I want to talk to you guys about tonight, especially, and this is kind of what the purpose of tonight's going to be, you guys. Tonight is going to be about efficiency, the basics. Part 1 of catching fish is having a line in the water and the ability to retrieve that line. Efficiency, how efficiently you can do it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to notice that a lot of people, they start getting into bait casters and stuff like that, or they're just they're running undersized baits on oversized open faces, you know, oversized spin casts, whatever you want to call it. Guys, tonight we're going to fix all that. All right, that's my goal tonight in part 1 is going to be to get you guys to understand if you're not a proficient angler, regardless of how long you've been fishing. I really don't care about any of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but realistically, you guys, like, we go out and we do together 6-7 hour fishing days live, and you might catch me once fiddling with my line and my reel, and it's not for very long. You understand what I'm saying? It's literally just a pull and a whoop, there it is, and then I'll make an adjustment on the fly that you guys won't even see me make. So tonight, before we get too far into this, you guys, looky here, we've got the overhead cam again, boys and girls. We're gonna do it live together. You understand what I'm saying? We're gonna talk about all the different settings. We're gonna talk about all the different stuff that goes into the reels. We're gonna talk about line size based on the reel that you're using. We're going to talk about rod strength, rod size, lure weight, and we're going to just touch on all the basics and all the stuff that nobody really wants to talk about. But I think if you listen and we have a little fun together, you too will be a more proficient angler. What do you guys think? Oh, Matty had a veterans, had to go to a thing. I know how that is. Hey, what's going on? Who's that? 50? What is that? 50 place Matt. What up, bros? I'm Matt from that house we worked at last week. Hey, what's up, Matt? What are you going on? What do you got going on, man? Cool. Look at that. Somebody showed up. 50 piece Matt. Nice. Cool. I like when people hang out, man. Especially people I don't know. Welcome to the channel, bud. Glad you came to hang out. So yeah, we're gonna go that far back, you guys. I think we need to do a little bit of a reset. Smiley Bat said hello. I think we need to do a bit of a reset, you guys. I think we need to really stop and what you guys see. God, you look out in the YouTubes and you look out and, all over the interwebs and the WWWs and the apps, and boy, everybody's just killing it all the time. You know what I'm saying? And nobody really stops to take a minute to say, hey, wait, let's go back to the beginning and see if maybe like we lost some people along the way, or some of us that are more experienced anglers just we forgot. You know what I'm saying? We really stopped thinking like that because we got on that one track. This is what I use all the time, and this is the only thing I cast, and this is the only thing I catch and fish on. We'll get into that in the basics part 2, and then basics part 3, we're going to get into other stuff. But tonight, you guys, let's just keep on the one track mind here. Let's just stick this thing right where it needs to be, and let's get into these settings real quick. Let's talk about bait casters. Let's talk about the different reel speeds. Let's talk about the different uses for those reels. If you find yourself using the wrong reel, reel speed, that's going to determine whether or not you're going to catch fish or not right about now this time of year, guys. And I'm just being honest with you. Right now as we start to warm up, I don't know about the northern states as much. I'm in the southeastern region, and I will tell you right now, it is fast, and fast. And if it's fast, then it's fast. And that's just how it works this time of year. It's just going to get fast. And if you understand what I'm trying to say here, then that means you need to listen closely, because if you're not using a fast reel, you're not going to get the same reactions that a lot of other guys are going to get. And we're going to talk about that tonight, you guys. Give me 1 second. I got something in my eyeball. All right, we're good. So let's get into this, you guys. Let's start talking about it. All right, so here we go. All right, you guys, we got it. I got something in my eyeball. I don't know what happened. Hold on 1 second. All right, here we go. Bite is slow at headwaters this morning. Storms ran us off at 1. Oh, no way. That's terrible, John. I heard you, Coach came down, right? Isn't that what happened? You had a couple of, you got a trip coming up, eh? All right, so here we go, guys. This is where it gets interesting. I'm looking at the wrong camera. Here I go. Hold on. All right, guys, so here we go. We got a standard bait caster. A lot of your what they call LPS series, or low profile series, LPS, you're gonna, or SLP, super low profile, which I believe is what this is. When they talk about that, guys, they're just talking about the diameter this way. You understand what I'm saying? From here to here. All right, this is a favorite Army series, favorite Army. Nah, it's just one I chose to use. One of the reasons I wanted to show you guys is, look right here. We got gear ratio. Oh, let me turn it so you guys can read it. Gear ratio 7.3 to 1. So this is on the bit of a faster side. Okay, not the fastest. There's 8.5s out now and 8.3s, and there's all kinds of gear ratios running around right now. But as far as usability, if you're looking for something that'll take up line and at the same time give you a bit of a, you can get it back fast enough if you're running a crankbait or a chatterbait, and you can also slow it down if you're working something lighter. All right, and we're going to talk about that tonight. People pick on me, especially, buddy, I use spinning gear. Yeah, no, Robert, listen, we're going to talk about that, man. Hey, what's going on, Wes? How you doing, buddy? We're going to talk about spinning gear and why you guys tend to see me a lot more using spinning gear than you do any other gear. But at the same time, if you watch like back in the some of the lives that we go on, it's all dependent, guys. It's all dependent on what I'm throwing, what weights I'm throwing, how I'm set up to throw them. And we're going to talk about that. Okay, so let's get back to this, right? So we've got the 7.3 to 1 gear ratio. All right, guys, we got a right hand crank. Just so we're clear, I retrieve right-handed on bait casters. I retrieve left-handed on spin cast. I don't know why. It's just something in the way I hold the rod, It's all in how I hold the rod, boys. You feel me? Okay, so the one thing I want to talk to you guys about is on your turn knob over here, you got to drag. Listen, can you guys hear that? Oh, I just knocked this. You know what I'm saying? Listen. You guys hear that little clicky tickies? Okay, that's your reel drag. All right, so when you're cranking on this thing, a lot of people, they're like, yeah, just turn that bad boy all the way down, leave her cranked all the way down. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's great, except for one thing. If you're running like maybe 10-pound braid or 20-pound braid and you get caught on something, that's a guaranteed way to break it. Another thing I'll tell you guys is never store your reels for an extreme amount of time in the over tightened position. Okay, don't hold your drag all the way down. Don't torque it all the way down and then leave that rod in your garage for any amount of time whatsoever, or even on your boat for any amount of time whatsoever. Even small temperature changes like humidity can get on the discs in this drag system. And when it does, it will bind it. So what will end up happening is, in the event you do go to set that hook and that thing's been set all the way down, you're going to have one of two things happen. One, the line's going to break, okay, because that happens a lot. Or two, you're not going to have any drag at all, because that gear, that pad that's operating the drag will actually be bound, and it just won't do anything. So you're going to either end up missing the fish, or you're going to end up break something. What do you guys got here? Spincast open faced. What Wes ask? What Wes ask? Hold on, Wes. Hold your rod. Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, here you go, guys. Back to what we were talking about. So we've right next to that, we've got another drag here. Okay, and this one doesn't click. I've got some that click. All right, this is your spool drag. All right, this is the one that controls how fast this line leaves your spool. All right, rule of thumb, something that I like to go by, guys. When I'm setting this, it's always going to change. Now I'm going to tell you why. A half ounce is a half ounce. Okay, once you have your bait caster set to the castability and the drop fall rate, and what I mean by drop fall rate is, so I tied this on, right? I'm holding my rod and everything's good. Okay, here we go. Let's change scenes real quick. All right, guys, so I'm holding my rod, right? I got my hand over my reel like I usually do. When I click this button, okay, I want at the other end of that rod, all right, way out there, I want this thing to fall at a speed no faster than 1 foot per second. Now, I'm going to continue to tighten that in order to slow that descent, or I'm going to loosen that in order to speed up that descent, and I'm going to try it a couple, 3 times, okay, to make sure that that drop rate is about 1 foot per second. Now, there's a reason I say that, guys. I say 1 foot per second because as far as manageability goes, that's going to give me the furthest cast proficiently that I can without the line outrunning itself. Okay, without the bird's nest. The whole bird's nesting itself is the spool's spinning faster than the line's feeding off of it, all right? Now we're going to talk about something else, which is the back slap or tensioner is what they'll call. A lot of people call it the tensioner. Now let's get back to this right here. All right, so on the other side of your bait casters, guys, you're going to notice there's some type of other little knob, usually either inside this cover or exposed on this cover. Now, this thing goes all the way from 0, which is free. Okay, we're going to talk about what this thing's for here in just a second. All the way up. See, this one's got small increments, but they go all the way up to 5. Now, what this thing does, all right, you guys know how you get in that wind. Sometimes you're in the wind and you're casting into the wind, okay? Now, your drop rate is correct, okay? So you're not over spooling. The problem is that the wind resistance is causing the line not to leave the rod at the correct speed, and that's where your backlashes are coming in. So as the wind increases or you're having to cast into the wind more frequently, that's where this setting right here, you'd want to go up. I tend to leave mine right in the middle and then make any adjustments more or less depending on the wind that I'm casting in and how proficient my casting is. Now, if you're using a flipping or a pitching technique, that's all thumb control. Okay, some people are like, oh, I just use my thumb. Yeah, that's really good, except for one thing. How often do you miss? Because if we want to talk about proficiency, you can need to put in a 7-hour day and not have that issue. And I'm just being honest. You're more experienced angler, if you're really out there to give it to it and you're looking for a skill that'll really change your fishing game, guys, let it be setting up your rod and reel correctly. Because if you can do that, your efficiency, the maximizing your time with a line in the water, it's going to increase your cook-up ratio. It's going to increase everything that you've been doing. It's everything you're working towards. So what I want to tell you guys about this one, muy importante, okay? If you learn how to set that drop fall rate at 1 foot per second, all right, and that's going to vary every time you. Now, if you tie 1/2 ounce bait onto another 1/2 ounce bait and the same rod and reel setup, no problem. No problem at all, because it's already set for a 1/2 ounce. You won't have to do anything. Now, if you take a 1/2 ounce jackhammer and then change over to a 1/2 ounce spinner bait, okay, or a 1/2 ounce, what's that thing that clicks across the top there? I forget, buzz bait. You're going to have to make an adjustment here on this side here. All right, and the reason I'm telling you that is because when those types of baits, those big blade baits, get out into the air, and then the wind or any type of, you can hear a buzz bait when you cast it as it goes away. Now that catching wind resistance will cause you to backlash a lot more. So you would want to increase your setting on the not the drag side, because your fall rate's correct, so it's coming off correctly. This side here, which is your torque, basically your spool torque setting. Now we're going to open this thing up because I want to show you guys what I'm talking about when I say spool torque setting. Now here's our spool, right? One drag system that we set is over here, and that's controlled on this side of the spool. All right, you'll notice here this other drag system, which is the one that I really want you guys to focus on. This one is this is a magnetic style. Now, not all of them are going to be magnetic style. Some of them are going to be clutch style, which is the paper clutch or abrasive pad clutch or the black pad clutch. This particular manufacturer uses magnets, and the magnets are really, really, really neat. I would say one of my favorite settings, one of my favorite reasons for going with this particular setup here was just to test the magnets, and I think they're very efficient. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. As far as longevity, castability, things like that, we'll give it time. You know what I'm saying? We'll give it time. We'll see how it does. I haven't had much time out with this rod because this rod and reel set, because the rod snapped on me. So I didn't get that many casts out of this thing. I kept this though. I got the rod, got sent back, and we're going to do some, see what happens with that thing getting fixed. They're supposed to fix it and send it back, but I picked up something else. So we're going to see. So again, guys, that's in a 7-3-1. Now, a lot of you guys are spin casting guys, okay? Yeah, that's funny, Wes. So a lot of these guys are spin casters, and that's okay, guys, because we're going to talk about that too, because this is where it gets really, really interesting when we start talking about proficiency. So let's get some tunes and we'll change it up. You guys ready for this? Let's do it. All right, guys, 1 sec. All right, guys, so here we go, guys. This is just demonstration, okay? I just wanted you guys to see this. Okay, so you guys know about my little TLC 100 series, right? Or 10 series, okay? This is what we're going to talk about today. Since you guys want to talk about bait casters and spin casters, because that's where we're going back to basics. What I want to talk to you guys about, a lot of you guys say your techniques are more spin cast oriented, and I totally understand that. Now, there's a reason I say techniques are spin cast oriented. Realistically, guys, any bait caster that you throw, if you get below a 1/4 ounce, you're not doing yourself any favors. I'm just going to let you know right now. 3/16 is going to play hell with anything over 10-pound braid. You're talking, that's going to be 2 to 4 pound mono or fluoro, and realistically the majority of your bait casters rod wise will not let you throw anything in the 3/16 ounce category. It's 1/4 ounce and up on a lot of them. You understand what I'm saying? And if you're running braid, 10-pound line, don't go below a 1/4 ounce. Don't go above a 1/2 ounce on 10-pound braid. Okay, 20-pound to 40-pound braid, 1/2 ounce all day. You start getting up into 60-pound braid, 80-pound braid. Now you're talking about the jump from throwing a 1/2 ounce to now you're throwing a minimum of 1 ounce. Okay. And now you're also talking about a rod that can't throw anything less than 3/4 of an ounce. Okay. So now you're talking, see how this whole thing is going to play out. So when you guys see me throwing my inclusive bait, right? And the reason the majority of the time you see me with the spin cast when I am throwing the inclusive bait is because the proficiency of throwing that on a bait caster, I would have to have an ultralight, or what they call baitcast finesse series, the BFS. That's coming out now, and that's a light series, and a 10 series bait casters and 20 series bait caster reels on the super low profile side. They're small, they got tiny little gears. It's cute and all. I haven't really ventured into it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I remember when it came out a long time ago, Spider Wire came out with a set of bait cast finesse series. It didn't go anywhere, but now a lot of the big Daiwa and a lot of other manufacturers are starting to get into it. But the price point right now is just astronomical. It's not something you're going to see me get involved in. Well, Wes, it is science, and I'll tell you why, bud. Okay, so, and this is where it gets interesting. Whatever happened to just some string tied to the top of a stick with a hook? Jeff, I am with you 110% on that, bud. Those days are over, bud. You understand what I'm saying? What we're trying to do now is we're going out there to kill it. And if you want to make yourself a better angler, start with the basics, and that is, what are you catching, and what are you catching it with? You know what I'm saying? What are you attempting to catch it with? Okay. The reason that I stay in the 30 and 40 pound weight class, and I'll say that as weight class because that's my line weight class, and I stick with a heavy rod. Always 30 to 40 pound everything, always a single heavy rod, and always a 7 or an 8-5 gear ratio. Now, I'm going to tell you why. When you guys remember, do you guys remember this? Hold on one second, you guys. Let's do it together. I know you guys remember this. We're gonna pull it up together. Hold on, let's do this. Bing. All right, I did this for you guys. Not really. No, I did. I love you guys. You guys are great. Let's go here. Let's go to videos. Let's go to live. Excuse me, where is live fishing? Okay, I did a live fishing recap for you guys. Check this out. Now, I know a lot of you guys, oh, look at this. This guy's trying to get in here with his ad. Who does he think he is? Oh, wait, that's me. So you guys remember this, right? We went out live bait fishing. We went out live fishing. Now, there's a thing I want to tell you guys about. Notice, there I am, heavy rod, 40-pound Seagar Smackdown braid, which is only a 12-pound diameter. I'm running that on the 753 to 1, I think it is. That's my Lose Custom TI. This is what I want you guys to understand. When you're out there hunting bigs, okay, when you're out there and throwing down on these big fish like this, you guys, looking at the wrong camera, if you're not hunting with the correct gear, don't hit transition. If you're not out there hunting with the right gear, you guys, you are not going to land fish like this. I mean, that's the bottom line. You're going to break off. You're going to have bad experiences. You're going to spend half the day digging knots out of your line. You understand what I'm saying? You're not going to have the same experience that I had this day. But the thing you guys have to understand is I go out there with the gear, with the setups to land fish like this, to actually fight fish like this. Because realistically, you walk out there with 10-pound monofilament, you walk out there with 15-pound fluorocarbon, and you throw that jackhammer like I'm throwing it right here, and you're jerking through this driller, I'm going to tell you, you're going to donate some lures to the lake. You're going to probably donate a lot of them. You're going to leave them in some fish's faces. You're going to lose a lot of your time on retying and fiddling around. And the reason for that is because you're not coming to the game with the most proficient mindset. Again, are you hunting bigs? Sure. But are you in an area where those bigs exist? Let's ask ourselves that. A lot of guys say, I just run spin cast. Well, A lot of you guys I know catch bigs. I've seen some of your bigs. You understand what I'm saying? Now, you guys might be a bit overpowered when you're stepping into the freshwater scene, but some of you guys on the stripers and stuff like that, I've seen it myself. You guys go out there and crush it. You know what I mean? You're geared up big, but you've got to be geared up big when you're fighting fish like that. Now, granted, are you going to step onto a freshwater lake and take that same setup and catch you some bass? You might. Or you might not, you know what I'm saying? Realistically, you might be overpowered for what you're going for, you know? And a lot of anglers don't realize how important it is to match that kind of stuff. Are you equipped to hunt bigs? You know I am, Wes. I'm out there all the time looking for the bigs. I could almost be a big cheap Walmart rod and reel combo. You know, and it's funny, Mick, and this is the one thing we're going to talk about. Mick, you came in without realizing it, bud, probably at about the price point. And I don't say price point. You always have to be geared up for the biggest fish you've ever caught. Absolutely, Scott. I agree with that 100%, bud. I agree with that 100%. The only other thing that I can tell you is, Scott, you also have to be geared up for, how do I want to say this? The struggle bus. You understand what I'm saying? You have got to be ready to struggle. You've got to come out every time you go out fishing. Now, a lot of people say, I just bring this, I bring this, I bring that. I bring 2-3 rods. So I hope you like tying knots, because when the struggle bus hits, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. When the struggle bus hits, man, you don't ever know what's going to happen. So for all you spin cast guys out there, this is one for you if you haven't seen it, which I'm sure all you guys have. Oh, look at that. They're running ads. Imagine that, man. Run them ads, boys. Fish, boys. Right off the bat, Daddy hits a net fish. All right, guys. Now, what I want you to know about this is, and this is the thing. Let's listen to it for a second, because I want you guys to understand. This is, let me pause this so you guys can get an idea. That is a 30 series reel. Okay, so a 300 series or a state number 3, okay, however you want it. Every manufacturer calls it something different, and that's 3 is the classification for as far as size. Okay, that is 20-pound Seagar Smackdown. That's a 20-pound 8-strand at 4-pound test diameter. So that is teeny tiny. I've got 3 feet of 12-pound fluorocarbon for a leader on there, double uni tied to a number 1 hook size, 3/16 ounce Z-Man chin locks. Okay, and then I've got a 3-inch TRD on there. Now, a lot of people say, Bud, you are not geared up for that. You understand what I'm saying? You are not geared up for that big fish. But because in reality, I didn't overpower the 30 series, okay? I didn't go with 60 or 80-pound braid on it, because if you're going to put 80-pound braid on your gear, you might as well use a 40 or a 400 or a Series 4, because you're just off the cusp of saltwater at that point. In the 30 series or 3, or you guys get me, all right? I'm not going to keep repeating that, okay? Don't step over 40-pound. In the 20 series, don't step over 20-pound braid, okay? And if you want to go anything even close, make sure it's like an 8-strand and it's only like a 4-pound diameter, because the diameter is what your rod and reel talks about. So if you see a reel, like you've got your rod, right? And your rod says it's good for 8 to 12 pounds. That does not mean it does not take 20-pound braid, okay? That is a line diameter, okay? Now, you match that line diameter, boys and girls, to the size of the hook you're using. Now, the particular hooks that you guys know that I use are a very small, thin wire. So if I'm throwing a thin wire hook, all right, and I've got 80-pound braid, what's the result of every 9 out of every 10 fish that I hook up with? It bent out. These hooks are crap. They bent out. These hooks are crap. They bent out. Vice versa. It works the same way with the guy that's throwing 10-pound braid, but then he's throwing the 5/0 EWG Eagle Claw extra wide wire. Okay, when he goes to give it ass, does it hook set? No. Chances are it doesn't hook set. It's not going to be a good hook set, and he's going to have a whole lot of fish. Oh, it came off. Oh, it came off. Well, it's coming off because either one, it's going to break off because your wire's thicker. way too thick for that line, or two, you're just going to continue to not catch those fish because your hook set light line, you're not going to get the penetration that you're looking for. So think about it like that, guys. If you're running thin diameter wire hooks, you want to start being versatile in the thin diameter lighter tackle. All right, it's just an idea so you guys understand why this kind of stuff, when you're hooked into fish this big, and I'm not breaking off and I'm not losing it. Wow, guys, this is awesome. Let me see if I can't get back to the front of the boat. Wow, we got a killer here. I know you guys heard that noise, right? I know you guys heard that noise. This is what we're just talking about, okay? This is how you matchy, all right? That's a 30 series, that's 20-pound line. Now, that's about the bottom of where you want to be with a 30 series. And again, I've got a 12-pound leader. All right, 12-pound fluorocarbon leader tied on there. So the most important thing that I can do is know how to set that drag. You understand? We're going to talk about that tonight. Let's just hear it one more time. Wow, we got a killer here. Oh, stay on. Stay on. Oh, how pretty is this, guys? Wait until you see this. Oh, come on now. Come on now. Come to the net, baby. Come to the net, baby. Guys, remember, when you're coming in with a finesse technique like this, when you're using these medium and not mosquito, this is not mosquito wire. This is, maybe one day I can come down there and learn in person. Absolutely, Wes. Absolutely, Wes. I'm telling you, man, I know it all sounds stupid, bud, but it makes perfect sense when you're doing stuff like this. This is just a standard medium tackle setup. You understand? I'm just straight medium. I am not horsing this fish out of there. I am not in the game to jerk this thing clean out of the water on a hook set, turn him, and boat flip him. It's never going to happen in a million years. Okay, I'm in it for the fight. I'm downgraded on my tackle size. I'm downgraded on my lure size because at this point I'm noticing my bait fish are all small, so I do my smallest replication, and it just happens to be on this size rod and reel setup. So not that I want to go to this, not that this is my go-to. I work my way around in my comparisons. I work my way around in my, as you guys saw, man, we had a whole day where all we threw was a chatterbait because it was just crushing it. You understand what I'm saying? And we were in a heavy setup. We were running 40-pound braid, 8-strand, Seagar Smackdown. We're running a heavy rod. We're running a half-ounce jackhammer with a 5/0 hook with that whole setup 6.5 inches from tip to back with the trailer on there. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Now, would I throw that on this same spin cast? Not in a million years. Not if I want it to snap off. I'm not running no leader. I'm running straight braid. Palmar knot on that bad boy. You know what I mean? There's no in between. I'm not out there for games when it comes to bringing the heavy tackle. But again, I'm on the lower side for that 1X heavy rod. Now, a 1/2 ounce is also the lightest tackle you can throw on that rod. So the bigger trailer that I put on there, the more apt I am to actually be able to cast that thing. Because that's another thing you guys got to also think about. If you're coming in throwing light tackle, bad news, boys. You've got to go down into that medium setup. You've got to be throwing something in the medium. Medium heavy's pushing it unless you're going above a 1/4 ounce when it comes to your spin cast setups. Pay close attention to what the line weight is on every rod that you have, as well as your reels. Because the one thing that you got to remember is its diameter. It's not strength. It's not poundage, it's diameter. So like 80-pound braid is like 20-pound fluoro diameter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a big deal, dude, and it's big and thick, and you're not going to run that on anything smaller than like, I don't know, a 40 series. But again, in a baitcaster, you can run it on any baitcaster you want. And that's just the way it works. That's why they're called bait casters. They're designed to just cast bait. The only thing that limits you is your rod at that point. So don't shy away from the bait casters. Just understand that they're more efficient when it comes to preset weights and things like that. The spin cast is good for your lighter gear, your lighter tackle. John over there at SWC, he'll tell you, Small Water Charters, they only run spin cast. on the charters, and there's good reason. There's absolutely great reason why, and that's because they're literally throwing the fluke. That's what they're throwing. They're throwing a fluke. It weighs no more than a quarter ounce, maybe. Even with a big 5/0 hook in it, it's just pushing over a quarter ounce. You take baitcaster out there in the wind, that wind out there gets going between 5 and 30 miles an hour. You try to cast that baitcaster around with that little light bait on there with a heavy or even medium heavy setup on a baitcaster, it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. So remember, depending on what type of lure you're throwing, the weight of that lure is going to determine the rod heavy, strength, whether it's a medium heavy, medium heavy, heavy, 1X heavy, 2X heavy, 3X heavy. Again, you're not going to throw a 1/2 ounce bait on a 3X heavy. You're not going to do it. You're vice versa. You're not going to throw a 3 ounce on a medium. You don't want to do it. That's how your rods get broke. And it won't be the cast that breaks it. It'll be you setting the hook that breaks it. It'll break the rod for sure. You got it. The object is just to tire that fish out, to keep that hook in its face and just get that fish in a manageable position to where you can do this.
Stay right where you're at. Stay right where you're at, baby. What? Oh, I dropped it on the drone. That sucks.
That thing was a beast, dude. That thing was an absolute beast, dude. And look how thin that line is. You can't even hardly see it, dude. It's so thin, it's like razor wire. Literally, it's like razor wire. But again, controlled that fish. You know what I'm saying? Controlled that fish, guys. All right, let's get into this. Let's talk about this. Hold on. Let's get some tunes. Well, real quick. 1 second. Stop leaving the boat in gear. What? I don't think it was in gear right there, bud. All right, here we go, guys. For you spin cast guys, here we go. Notice right here. All right, what does that say? Braid. 10-pound diameter gets you 180 yards. That's 10-pound diameter. That's not 10-pound braid, okay? And then you've got, it goes into your 0.17 millimeters. So if you look on any of your braid and stuff like that, guys, it'll give you a diameter. It'll give you a diameter for sure. All right, well, here you go. Mono, it takes 8-pound mono diameter or 0.28 mono diameter. Okay, now, one of the things we want to talk about, this is a pretty neat setup. This is a Revo 2X30. So this is a 30 series. Again, I've got a 30-pound Seagar Smackdown on here from Abu Gar. This is a nice Revo X. This is a fantastic reel, by the way. Drag, guys. Drag on your spin cast is your top knob here. Okay? My rule of thumb is that if I can pull it, it's wrong. Just so you know, if I can pull at it and the line just comes out, it's not right. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Hold on, let me get this tape off here and I'll run this line out. We'll talk about it because I'll show you guys about how I like to set my drag. I'm going to set it real loose just for a sec. Okay, let me get some line out here. Okay, a lot of guys are like, yeah, man, listen, I just crank it down. And for those of you that like the crank it down technique, let me show you what the crank it down technique looks like real quick so we can get on that page. Hold on, you guys. Where is the crank it down? Hold on, you guys. I'm finding it. There it is. All right, here we go. You guys remember this? This is what the crank it down drag techniques look like. Just so you guys know. If you see somebody that runs the crank it down drag technique, this is what the crank it down drag technique looks and sounds like.
Fish on.
You guys hear that sound? You guys hear that sound? Listen closely to this sound, because this is not a natural sound, okay? This is the sound of just pain, just horror. He's got full crank on that thing. Look.
This might have a little size on it, bud.
I see that, bud. What's going on?
Oh.
I'm going to stop it there because I don't want it to hit me with the copyright strike. But you guys saw the result, right? Watch it again, because he's prying on this thing and prying on it. What's going on?
Oh.
And snap. Snap. That's the result, guys. The majority of the time, if your drag's not set correctly, it will be El Snapo. Here we go. All right, back to the overhead. Okay, so that's with the drag all the way down. Anybody that knows, you start pulling on that, it's not going to do anything. You're breaking this line. As you guys can see, this is 4-pound diameter, 20-pound test, okay? 4-pound diameter. So it's actually very small for this line. That's still a bit loose. I'll go 3 turns. Okay, maybe 2 more turns. 3 more turns. I'm going to go 1 more click. That's her. That would be it. That would be my drag set, you guys. You see, I'm really trying to give a pull on it. And it's just barely giving me that little bit. That's how I like to set my drag. If you set your drag correctly, your line poundage really won't come into play. At that point, it's just going to come down to your style of fishing. And what I mean by that is, if you're a power fisherman and you're running 20-pound braid, you're wrong. You understand what I'm saying? You're just going to break off a lot. And if you're a finesse fisherman running 80-pound braid, you're wrong, because you're never going to hook up, because none of your system is set up for the size hooks you're using. You might hook up, you're either going to pull its face off, you're going to bend a hook out. You're not. The fish are going to be scared off by your presentation because it won't be correct, which is another thing you guys need to talk. We need to talk about. Give me a second. I try to stay in the 30 series range, you guys. Okay, 30 series, 40 pound. I do drop down to 20s, and I like to roll 10s. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. In my lighter bait presentations and a lot of my finesse techniques, that requires very light tackle. And I don't mean tackle, I just mean the setups themselves, because of how thin the wire is and stuff like that. It just requires a little bit less of everything. So instead of going medium heavy, I try to stay in the medium. Instead of going 30-pound braid, I stay in the 10 to 20s. Instead of going extra, heavy wire, I tend to stay in the medium wire. My hookup percentage is good. My ability to fight the fish is good. My ability to keep the fish. My ability to stay. Again, how you can't catch fish if you don't have a line in the water, folks. You understand what I'm saying? So the thing to remember is, how proficient can I be today? How clean can I fish? How proficient can I cast? Because casting is the first step to catching the fish. Without a line in the water, there is a 100% chance you will not catch a fish. It's just, I don't know. It's science. Trust the science. You know what I'm saying? Just realistically, guys. And every time that you attempt to make the fish bite your lure, you must present it. And in order to present it, you have to cast it. So again, guys, there's a precursor to casting as well, which is the basic tip for tonight. Basic tip number 1, you guys. Reel speed. Don't run a 5-0 reel ratio and want to burn back crankbaits. It's not going to happen. Okay, the bait's not going to swim correctly. It's going to cause it to circle. It's going to come back in a weird helicopter style because you're overturning the gear ratio. Instead of cranking faster, go to a faster gear ratio. A lot of you spin cast guys don't have that option. All you can do is increase the size of the reel itself to get a different ratio. But for the bait caster guys, increase your reel, increase your reel percentage, increase your speed. It's just that easy. Go to a 7.5, go to a 8.3. You know what I'm saying? Go to a 9, whatever they got running. If you want to burn it, there's your burn it. But see, here's what's interesting. You don't have to change your reel speed. The gearing in the reel will change that for you. That's what bait casters are designed to do. It's just like golf, okay? Think of it like this, guys. If you need to hit it 100 yards, are you going to pull out your driver? No. You're going to pull out your wedge. You understand what I'm saying? Or you're going to pull out your 9-iron. It's just going to depend on the wind. There's the factors, okay? We're back in the golf analogies, fishing analogies. It's all science, boys and girls. You know what I mean? It's all math. And as much as we all hate to believe it, it is math. You understand what I'm saying? Hold on. This one's for Smiley. It is math, all right? No matter how much we hate to believe it, it is all math. It is all science. Okay, if you're not starting with the right gear, then you're not going to end with the right result. Okay, and the gear starts with, what are we fishing for? If the predominant fish in your area is bass and they don't get much bigger than 3 pounds, 80-pound braid is not needed. You understand what I'm saying? It'll should never be on any of your rods and reels. Now, if you're talking about I'm throwing out for 60-pound catfish, amen, buddy. At that point, it really won't matter. You got a 40 series or a 4 series or even a 5 series saltwater. You got 80-pound braid on it. You only got 100 yards of it because you're not really going to need much. That's what you're doing. So come with the right gear. Come with the right gear. If all you throw is light tackle and all 1/4 ounce this and 3/8 ounce that, yeah, don't waste your time buying a bait caster. Because if you do, it's going to end up being a medium, and if it is, it's only going to have like maybe 10-pound braid on it. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to play hell throwing those light baits with a medium rod. But at the same time, if you use your settings correctly, you get your drop fall rate correct, you get your gear, your torque, your backlash preventer torque little thing there, some type of gear, some type of magnet, some type of clutch system, the anti-reverse system. That's when you get that set, man, you could be as proficient as casting all day, hundreds of casts, and not have a single issue at any point in your day. And a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people have no idea what I mean when I talk about proficiency. And what I want people to understand is you can't catch a fish without your line in the water. And that all starts with what you're setting up at home. So pay close attention, guys, when you're out there shopping or you're looking at that new rod or you're looking at that new reel. What are you going to use it on? What kind of line are you coming with? First of all, what kind of bait are you using? Because that's going to determine what kind of line, and then that type of line is going to determine what type of rod strength you've got, and then that rod strength is going to determine back to the beginning, which is the weight of the bait in the original. So, there is a lot of stuff to think about, guys, but going back to basics and really looking at your setups, making adjustments in poundage, making adjustments on, your style, if that's what it takes. Look at what you're using, look at your gear, take a long hard look at what you got going on. And if you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, wait a minute, man, maybe throwing that Ned rig on the 60-pound braid's a bad idea on the heavy rod. Yes, that's a very bad idea. You know what I mean? But we're all different. Everybody tries everything. But medium wire, 80-pound braid don't go, and big wire and 10-pound braid don't go. So remember that again, guys. Hook size, hook diameter, how much your bait weigh. These are all big factors. Real big factors, guys. And with a little bit of luck, maybe you'll pair it up correctly and you'll make something magical happen. I don't know. And we'll leave it up to you guys. But listen, guys, I appreciate it. I appreciate every one of you guys hanging out, man. I hope tonight's episode gave you a chance to really think about it and say, hey, wait, man, you know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe that's why I haven't been successful using that technique. And maybe this is why, I'm always in the bird's nest, because I'm throwing too light a bait on this thing, and that's because my line's too thick, and if I just came down with my line a little bit and did this and came up with the lure and maybe set this a little bit more and slowed this down, yeah, you might find your efficiency goes way up, way up, hundreds of casts. That's your goal. Your goal is not to have an issue ever, like all day, ever. One is too many. It's understandable when the current, or when the conditions change. You're turning the boat, your wind is changing, things are changing. You're bound to have to make a little adjustment. But if you were close in the beginning, you're not going to have that much of an issue to deal with. You're not going to spend all day pulling out wind knots, and it's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you a lot of time, and possibly that time can turn into catching you more fish. And that's our goal, right? Well, guys, thank each and every one of you for coming out this evening. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Remember, it's been real. It's been fun. We'll see you guys on the next one. See ya.